welcome back everybody. It's video today's bit of a mix really. I'll start you off first. I've got a project. My daughter's expecting her first baby in August, and she's asked me to make a wardrobe it's a box room, so they call them box rooms because they've got boxes over where the stairs cut through. So, and she wants a wardrobe and a drawer on there that she can utilise as changing the baby on. I said, yeah, I said I'll make it. I asked her what she wanted it. I said, I'm going to make it out of all MDF and then prime it and paint it. It's going to have a drawer on, two wardrobe doors. That's for a later project. I'll show you a simple means of constructing it. And obviously this video is just going to show some of the gear or some of the jigs that I've purchased and 3D printed in order to do what I'm going to do with the wardrobe. Now, the first I like to start first with with this. Now this I got from my brother he wanted to go up and paint with some wooden fencing around my father and my mum's grave, and he wanted to paint it, and it's a bit of a ball ache to say the least. It wants wire brushing down and then it wants painting. I said, why don't you get yourself a paint spray, cordless one, works off DeWalt batteries, all the 18 volt 20 volt batteries. Now I have one that works off the mains, but obviously no mains up there in the cemetery, so and it works perfect. I said, no, I'll buy you one. So sent off one from Amazon, and it came boxed up. I just gave him the packaging. I said, that's from me, a bit of a late present, and thought no more about it. Anyway, he went up did a fantastic job. Didn't take 20 minutes to spray all the fencing, and he said, what a job. It was just a grey wood preservative, well, fence paint. Looks like a sloppy gel, but grey coloured. He just put a little bit of water with it, which he had to do, and it went on. And I went back up, took a couple of days later to check on it, and what a job it had made. He's going to give it another coat. So I said, how's it doing? So I hadn't seen the spray gun, so he got the spray gun out of the box, and I said, that's not the one I bought. He said, it is. So I didn't open it. So when I looked on my Amazon, I'd purchased this one. As you can see, it's got an adjustment knob there, it shows you, and it's got a lot of black around the handle part and the actual where the motor is. It's only a fan really. And I said, it's not the same one. Well, the one I paid for was this, but the one they sent me was a lot cheaper one, and I thought, no, I'm not having that. So beauty about Amazon really is I boxed it back up. It were all clean, so it was just like it was new, because it's all water washable is all this. You'd no paint on it anyway. And I put on a note, it's not the one I purchased. I've noticed that after the person that I bought it for had used it once, and then I went to have a look at it to see what it was like, and it ain't the one I purchased. So I sent that back yesterday, and I got a refund straight away into my Amazon account, and I ordered another one of these. Now it's a bit ambiguous with the look. When you look at the price of them, I think this cost I think it was under £30 thereabouts, but just over £30. I can't remember. It come to a total of £41, but there's a delivery charge in it, so that's what takes it up to that price. I think it was 41 quid, and as I say, it takes all about it. So I'm going to show you that, but the reason why I'm showing you this is because you'll have all seen the advertisements of people having what looks like, if you can imagine, I'll just blot that bit off there if I can. Let's see if I can do it there. Just a motor part you can see that that looks like the hand blowers that you can buy, you can get, and they're good for dusting down, as opposed to a compressed air running a motor when you can use a cordless battery. And I thought, and when I inspected this, lo and behold, I have 3D printed some attachments now. I use this as a blower and it's extremely good. So it's why they don't do it and sell it with attachments to do this with, I've no idea. But I utilise, well, my brother's got the spray gun, although he said keep it round at yours, there's no room for it. So utilise the spray gun, which you just, because the front pops off, this, which I'll show you, and you insert the nozzles that I've put in. It's absolutely brilliant. So it kills two birds with one stone. But what I'll do is I'll show you this now, and then I'll show you what I've done to actually make it use as a hand blower. Right, here we are. I hope you can see, because I'm a bit restricted for room because I've got all my daughter's MDF cut down inside here, so I'm a bit restricted to the end of the garage, to the workshop. Right, let's have a look. One funnel with a hole in, and what that is, it's your viscosity cup. Let's get it right. And what that does is, when you've mixed your paint and thinned it down and put it through there, there's a time limit which it should run out. Okay, that's just to tell you it's the right thickness. I've never used one of them. I do it by eye test and then know it's right. Right, this is what you get in the box. You get one unit, hand unit. And see what I mean? And when you see them all on the internet, or there's a lot on Facebook advertisements, you'll see them blowing things down with something like that, and they're not cheap. They're about 30 quid. So, but this I've made do 2 jobs. Okay, I get everything out, and then you can see that's the spray gun unit. You've got some instructions, which I'm not going to get out. You've got a cleaning brush. Okay, put that back in there, and in here that's it, and it all pulls out to clean. So it did on the other one. Okay, and that you can turn round because it's at an angle. If you can see that, it's at an angle. Alright, move it out of the way. It's at an angle, so you can turn it round. So if you're working whichever direction you're working at, obviously the fluid will run to that part in the cup, so you can turn it to that. Alright, and you get a selection of some little O-rings. You get, there you go. Put the box down. Work more over there now. So you get 3 different nozzles extra, but you've got one in the actual gun as it is now. Okay, I'll show you how they go in and out. There's an O-ring that goes on there. They go on there. I don't know why they leave them loose, but they should be on there. Just put them on. Right, all the nozzles on. They're all different sized holes in the end, as you can see, for different materials that you're going to spray. And that is a nozzle cleaning. Little bit of, it's a bit of spring wire. It's for cleaning nozzles. I put them back in there. Not really going to be using that. I think that'll go back in there. All right. Okay. Right. This then, as you can see, it has adjustment knob for your flow rate. Most spray guns have that. The other one never had that on. and it just pushed in and out with the button on the top. Completely different. This you put in and lock. Okay, that is in now. Alright, I've got a battery. I'll put a battery in. This takes DeWalt batteries. You can get this to, my son's getting one for the Makita batteries that he's got, and you can adjust the trigger there. So obviously, depending on how far you want the trigger to work, okay, it's like a stop for it, and that's your flow rate. Okay, your nozzle on these, they're pretty simple nozzles. I mean, I'll show you how the nozzle goes in. Right, that's inside. Very little to it really. I'll tell you how they work in a minute. That's the different size nozzle, the goping size. I think he used the large one for the fence paint that he used, with the O-ring already on. You can't mistake how it sits. There's two little, you see that's two little notches there, and when you look, there's two little cutouts there and there. Okay, and so they actually slot in there. It won't work good up. You won't be able to tighten it up. That then goes on, and there's little, if you look at the, oh, you can see that, if you look at the face of that, there's, and back of that, there's like little notched out part. I'll show you what that's for. Put that on, put in screw cap on, and tighten it down. That's it. Now don't over tighten these, that, leave it off a bit, because you need to be able to turn that. Okay, only lock it off. Now it's simple to remember, when those two are upright like that, when you spray you'll get a pattern across. When you turn it that way, you'll get your pattern up and down. Always goes opposite to what those are. Okay, and if you put it halfway, you'll get a round circle for a spray pattern, which is handy for, my brother said it was really handy because he could do the edges of the actual panels on round the grave. Okay, so that's how it goes. That's just flow rate, amount of that it's extracting from the cup, and it works. It's a fan. That's all it really is. The fan that's creating the pressure difference, which draws your actual material out, and that's it. And it is, my brother said it were really good. And if you've a lot of fence panels to do in your garden, they're ideal. If you've got power tools, then it's a cheap option. I mean, if you haven't got power tools, I have loads of these DeWalt batteries. Like my son's got quite a few on Makita. My brother has DeWalt batteries. He uses them from work. So at the end of the day, you're utilising what you've got. You can buy these mains operated. They're a little bit more expensive. I'm not saying they're any well made, better made, but it is what it is. You utilise what you've got for the cheapest option. If you're going to buy this cordless with batteries, it'll be more expensive, so you've got to think about that and weigh up what you're going to do. Okay, right, and it's simple. So to take it off, just click back and that pulls out. Spray gun. Now you could utilise that by putting your finger on the button there, and that itself is quite powerful. Okay, but what I did was, I thought I'll utilise, so I printed two. There's another nozzle on the printer at the moment which is a 20mm diameter but straight through, and why you cone shape them is it creates a pressure, which then as it comes out at the end it's even more forceful because it pressurizes it down. So I'll show you this one. It's, as you can see, it's got a 3D printer with the cutouts on. You see, I'm printing another one of these because I adjusted the size of the diameter. I knocked 0.1 of a millimeter off because it was a little bit tight. There we go, in we go. You press that now. I'll just show you. See that? Nearly popping that bag. It's really powerful. You can blow leaves on path with it as it is now. It's also utilising, you could use this for blowing airbeds up or you know, anything like that that requires air putting into it, because it puts a vast amount of air in, and it's been reduced down to a smaller outlet. So, and what I do here a lot, I have to use my compressor to do it because I've nothing else really. I do now is the vacuum cleaners. We have cordless, and we've one upstairs on the top floor for the bedrooms, and we've one for the lounge and dining room, kitchen and all that. But we have they're all cordless, but down in the hallway down here, any leaves that are picked up on your shoes and will come in, we've got a little mains vacuum cleaner, upright one, and they all are periodically, once a month, blow them all out, all the filters. And it's when people let the vacuum cleaners and the filters get blocked, what happens is it's a strain on the motor, because it's trying to draw air in and it can't because the filters are blocked. So you reduce everything, your suction, the intake of the air for the cooling, everything. So you must keep the filters clean. Well, I thought, I'll try it on my vacuum. Well, what a job that is. I'll just take this out. So I did that one. The lock in place, you can see the difference in the nozzle sizes there. That one goes right inside my vacuum cleaner. That cleans, it's as good as my compressor, and I'm using cordless power. Not when I turn my compressor on, the lights in the house dim. It, you know, from load on kicking in, so I don't have to use that. Just to blow me. I use this now, and in fact I blew my patio down yesterday. I did some pruning on the patio there, and I blew all the leaves down. It was absolutely brilliant. So it just goes to show, and I wouldn't have thought about it, but when I sent off for the first one for my brother, I got an advertisement afterwards for something that looked like this, probably a little bit smaller, but with for blowing leaves, dust blowing and all that. And I thought, wait a minute here, and I didn't realise they clicked out the front of the spray gun, but as soon as it did, I realised all that is a fan, the trigger, intake, and part where your spray gun goes in. Okay, so just remember, if you've got one of these and the front comes off, and you can get somebody to 3D print your nozzles, you have an excellent blowing tool. Just for if you've got a workshop and you're using a power saw and you want to put it away, I always like to clean mine. I don't carry my portable compressor around with it and blow the saw down before I put it back in my car, or you know, I'll put it away. I always make sure my gear's clean. That now is ideal. So I've killed two birds with one stone for 41 quid, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And why they don't include them in the kit, you know, they could charge 10 quid more for it. They'd sell more of them because you can utilise that as a blower as well as a spray gun. Okay, right, back round. Right, that's this item that I purchased. And the one thing about Amazon is, as I say, once you highlight there's a problem, you return it, the money's refunded back to you straight away. In fact, I did it yesterday morning, and by tea time, obviously they've been for the parcel there at Ivry, the local shop where I go to take the parcels, money refunded. So you know, it's assurance that they don't quibble about it, they just refunded it. It was wrong, so they had to do something about it. Right, what I'm going to do now, I told you earlier at the beginning of the video that I was building a wardrobe and a drawer which will be attached, and it sits on top of the box unit in my daughter's baby room that they're doing. And I have some gear to do, like cut the cabinet hinges and all that, like 35mm cutters and 26mm cutters, so I've got them, but I do it all by either the pillar drill, or I do it by cordless drill and do it by eye. And I've never had a problem with it, but I thought, no, this time I'll take myself to a little jig for it. So I'm going to show you that now, and I'll show you what else I've done, which will aid me in some ways, and for constructing the actual wardrobe. Right, the actual wardrobe's constructed, and I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to do a video on it, but the wardrobe is constructed by two rail side panels, top and bottom, and a centre partition, which is and then you've got two shelves in, and the bottom partition which is set further up from the actual base, and that is basically your bottom part, and it enables them to utilise the space underneath a bit, because they're restricted for room in the baby room. Anyway, let me all come apparent when I show you how I construct that. And it's basically just rebated, that's all. I use the router, and this is the router I normally use. It's the Trend T5EL. It's the 110 one, and I'll put I think it's an 18.2 cutter in, rebating cutter, or grooving cutter, whichever you want to call it, and I just do it 6mm deep, and then obviously the side will have a 6mm grooving rebate, and your shelf and your partitions will sit in that. Okay, then you just screw from 3 points with carcass screws for MDF. Stops it splitting out because it's in the groove, so that holds it together, and you pre-drill it all. It's just really simple. So the partitions in the centre will have a complete 6mm rebate in. The top and bottom of the drawer unit and of the wardrobe will have a rebate in, but it only sits in 18.2mm down, so that your unit, your top, will actually sit on it and it's flush at the top. Okay, and you fasten it the same way. You put a groove in around for the backs, and that's your carcass made. Really simple. Put a bit of a moulding on edge, take the sharp edges off, prime it, sand it down just where you've cut into it, prime it, and you might need 2 coats of sealer, and then paint it, rub it down between each coat. You've got a cracking looking wardrobe unit, or piece of furniture, however you want to construct it. Kitchen units you can do the same way. Okay, and I've done it loads and loads of times, and it works perfect. But I normally use a clamp straight edge, mark where I want the rebate to go, and then I run that edge up against it. Okay, if I want to do a stopped one, rebate, so that you don't see it come out of the end. But it doesn't matter on this because it's painted. I'm going to go pass through on the right across the side panels. You need to stop it, and I thought, yeah, it's about time I did something other than, because when you're working on a straight edge, if you're push it, I mean, you won't be, depending on the depth you're going, you maybe do it in 2 passes. I'll do it in 1 pass. It's only 6mm deep, so when you do it, you pass it, but you accidentally lift you'll end up with a gouge out of one side. So really, I thought, but I can do it, I'm used to doing it, so, but I'm not saying I haven't made mistakes, because I have. Don't watch what you're doing, and that's when you make mistakes. So I thought, I have what I'm going to show you here now, and I normally use it because it's pretty good. It's a trend jig, but I'll show you what it is. Right, here we are, and it's the it's a trend jig. Whoops. And you can adjust this and do it at whatever angle you want. Lock off here. There's a pin there which locks it off at 90, or you can lock it off at different degrees which you want. Underneath, in fact I'll show you underneath what comes is a very, very versatile jig. Okay, I'll show you underneath. Underneath it has a straight edge, so obviously that is put up to your material, and then once you clamp it down, and I have these slide clamps for it, okay, so I can do one end and this end, okay, and you can clamp down here. Now because I've got this set on a piece of 30mm worktop, I can't use that clamp. I've just left it in to show you what it does, okay. As you can see, that slides up and down, it's the same, just another clamp, and they're trend as well. So you'd put that up to where the line where you want your actual cutter, and I have a piece of 3D printed plastic, and what I do is I know that, and I normally print them off for the cutters that I use, and when I put it up to here to a line where I want the rebate to go, put it up, set it to where the thin piece of plastic is, clamp it up, and I know when I put that cutter in and plunge it in, it's gonna go to that line. Okay, it's pretty simple really. I'll just fasten this back on. Just clamps up, and I just use a normal G clamp here. If I can't get that in there, this unlocks here, so you can move this up. If you're doing anything with a wall at that side, you can actually slide this back and still work with it, okay. It's a really, really good jig, and it's really well made. Now I know that if I put a square on here to there, it'll be perfectly square, and because that's clamped down, that doesn't move, okay. So I thought I'll design myself a sled, okay. There we go, that fits in that groove and it slides along. Fasten my router to that, and I can the base, that is separate to that, because with this being plastic, if I'd have made all that in one, the problems are when you're utilising that, and if you're using it quite a lot, don't think that's moving, it's a tape measure inside. When you're moving that up, it will wear, okay. But if I have to replace it, then what I do is just print that off, and that has some inserts in, brass inserts, okay, which I'll continually use this. But if I want, I've got a small palm router, 110 Makita palm router. What I'll do is I'll actually print one off to fit that. All right, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do it. So as that wears, I just print another one of these off, and it's just take the screws out, put it back on, and I've got a new one again. Okay, that stop's in there. I also made a couple of stops, as you can see there, one there and one here, and so that you can actually put that up against a stop, plunge in, up to another stop, take it out. That'll give you, so you, whatever distance you set from each end, you can have a stop rebate. Okay, it's really good. I'm going to put this on and I'll show you. And it's relatively simple to actually fit. That's it. And that way. That's all they are. As I say, I never bothered. I used to use it just up against a stop because I was skilled enough to do it. But if you're not using it, one of these before a route, and you want to do some work, then that's it. Doesn't need to be that tight. Then it just gives you a bit more reassurance. Okay, so I'll just leave that in there. Right, we're in. Okay, so I'm just doing a demonstration for, I won't have it plunged too much. Okay, unlock it. So you want to do a stop mortise. Okay, in, out. As simple as that. In, up to the other stop, out, and you'll get a perfect rebate every time. No wavering, you can't, it's safe. And that's the thing when you're working with any machinery like this, is these things will take your fingers off, because people forget that the cutter's going round in there, and next thing you know it'll take your finger off. They won't take any prisoners. This is variable speed. And I have a big 1/2 inch router which I will make one of these sleds for. In total, I think the actual 3D printed sledge and the stops, £3. Now you can buy these plastic sliders, but I hasten to say they're not cheap, and they will wear. So when they wear, because they're all in one, what do? You have to replace all the lot. I did mine so that it would utilise the base one, each time, but just put a new slider on. Okay, so, and it's so simple to do. You can do it with one hand. The weight keeps it down. There's no movement in that. It's rock solid. And all I do is put a little bit of beeswax actually on here, and it helps it melt. I can just push that lot, as you can see. Good clamp. Now I have a straight edge clamp. I'll just get it and show you. You see, that's a straight edge clamp which I used to use. It's the trend one. You just put it across your material, slide the other end down, and then clamp it. Right, here we are. Other things that I've purchased. Normally, as I said, when I do the hinges, and these, one of the doors will have the normal cabinet 90-degree hinges, but the other will have the, just take one of these out, show you. The other will have the 35mm 170-degree opening. Okay, so that's on your door, so your door's there. Instead of being 90, it opens more, because one of the doors has to, in order to enable her to get in, because the cot's at one side. Purchase them off Amazon. Really good. And they're the clip-on hinges. They're not the where you to undo the screws to take them off. That's that. Got those. But to actually put the hinges in, I took myself to a little jig. Wasn't expensive. I mean, I'll put the links in below in order to show you how much they are. And it was Amazon. Purchased them on. This is all aluminium. It's not It's not cheap. You can get them that are plastic. I'm not a lover of them that are plastic. You've got an Allen key in there. That's your cutter, which is tungsten carbide, and that's your depth stop. Okay, so we'll put the cutter in, and that's bushed, so there's no movement in that. That's your actual depth stop. Okay, you'd set that to the depth that you want to go at, lock it in place. Okay, your drill will go on there. The beauty about this one is, if that's the edge of your unit, you put it to, and if you look, there's a shoulder, square shoulder there. Okay, so you can't get it wrong. And literally, it's as simple as people think it is if you don't have the jigs. Put a line, and that, I'll just put a line there for you. If you can imagine, that side will be your carcass, where you want the hinge part to go, and then this is your door. Okay, show you what I mean. That's your carcass there. Alright, that's your door. Okay, so you draw a line on your door, fine line with a square. Okay, and you mark that roughly where it's going to go. Okay, you take that up, put a square edge on that. Alright, so we've done that. I'll show you that. So that is the carcass, case side, whatever you want to call it. This is your door. Okay, so get your jig. It has a centre line, you can see that there. It's a little point. Oh, you can see that it's in there. You can see it. It's got a little nib inside that V, and that gives you your centre line. So you put it up square. Right, you would, as I was showing you, you would set you up against the shoulder, centre line on the nib, adjust your clamp so it fits the thickness, and then all you would literally do is hold that there, clamp it. Okay, now this is quite slightly thin MDF that I'm showing you. It's actually one of the old spoil boards from the 4040. And you clamp it down, and then put your drill in. Once you've set your depth, plunge down. Your hinge is cut straight in, and it's cut square, and it's cut in the right position for your hinge. Okay, take that off. There are some little bits and bats. There's a little spanner. I'll show you what's in here. There's a copper washer, some more Allen keys, piloting drill. Okay, it's really good. And the piloting drill, I'll show you what that used for. Spanners are to lock that off underneath, where you adjust your actual clamp. Okay, I'll show you what your drill is for. So you've cut your hinge out, it's still clamped in place. Okay, then you've got the hinge screws to secure. That is your pilot for that. That goes through there, and it goes through there. You pilot that, it only needs marking slightly because they're only small screws, and then you put the screws into where those holes are. That marries up with your hinge. Okay, the 35mm hinge part, the sunken part. Okay, so that's that. So you have to actually cut the and put the screw holes in for the mounting plate for your hinge on your carcass side. So I purchased this. This is aluminium, it's well made, Amazon, reasonably cheap. I'll put a link, and you can see all the markings for the different hinges. Okay, so bring his carcass back. This is how easy it is. Bring his carcass back. Remember the straight line that we did, which were 90 degrees in position for that, where the hinge goes. And again, it's got a V cut out, you can see that. You put that up there, put it at the bottom of the V, it lines up perfectly, and then you can adjust this for whatever holes you need for your it does a variety of tasks, and then you pick which of the holes for your mounting plate and you drill them, put your hinge on the other half, and it'll fit perfectly. Normally I've got some old aluminium angle that I use for doing that, and it's rather than measuring it, and I have a couple of them for different sized hinges, because one stage they're all pretty universal in some way, but they were a bit of an oddball set that I got, and I had to make another plate for this, and it just a bit of angle iron, the aluminium plate that went up against there, and then I just drilled a couple of holes in where I wanted it, and I just piloted them. So that's it. So that will enable me to put the hinge to the carcass. That enables me to put the hinge to the door. Okay. I believe in total, I don't think there's more than 30 or 35 pound for both jigs. So, but I will put a link on down there. So that's to do with the hinges. Okay. Put that back in. And as I say, when we fit kitchens like we used to fit, we did quite a lot. Sometimes it required you to put a door on something that wouldn't have a door. It's like a false panel. They need to get into something, but you need it to look like a panel, but it needs to move out. Rather than unscrew it, you put an hinge on. You just keep it there. And we've done that loads of times. Or we've had to actually put a complete door on a boxed in area in a kitchen, and you need the jigs in order to do it, rather than messing up. You get it right first time. Okay, so that's that. And as I was telling you previously about using carcass screws, these are what I use for MDF. Okay, I hope you can see them. You see them? They're a coarse thread, they're a carcass screw, the black, and the right coarse thread there, but they're smooth here. Because what you want to do is, you don't want the thread all the way up, because you have to pilot this bigger so that it didn't grip on here if the thread went all the way up. So all you do is drill a hole through your carcass and then pilot here, and it's as simple as that. And they're very, very securing for MDF. Okay, they're okay for chipboard as well. They are what I use, and I use them all the time if I'm building anything. Carcass screws, they're not expensive. Amazon again. So right, that's just some of the jigs and bits and bobs that I've purchased in order to do the wardrobe. I can do it without these. I've not a problem doing it without these, and without the utilising the sled for the actual 90 degrees clamp. Yeah, I just thought I'd do a project. I've got the 3D printers, why not make it easier? So that's what I've done. So just remember that there's always a way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You can do this to get the rebates in. There's lots of different ways. You can use a pin on your actual, well, it's like a plate that you put in. You put a straight cutter through, and then that runs up against a length of timber, and you keep it there, and that runs up, and that gives you your actual rebate. There's lots of different ways. When I'm actually putting the groove in for the back, what I'll be using for that is I'll use a plunge saw. Simple as. It's 3mm white hardboard for the back, and the cut on the, I think the kerf on the plunge saw is about 2.5, so it's not big enough, but all I do with that is run it where I want it, and then knock it over and milling a bit, and give you a little bit of clearance, and then run it again, and that gives you your groove. So there's always another way of doing something. And but I am, as I say, I will be doing a video on showing you how I do some of the rebating, and I'll show you it constructing, how we put it together. Okay, but I just wanted to show you some of the stuff that I've just purchased, and how to utilize them for different uses. I hope it's been helpful to people. If you've got any comments and you want help with anything like that, just give us a bell. You know, I don't mind at all helping. And always give me a thumbs up. I like thumbs up. And I answer everybody's queries, and if somebody needs me to show them this actually working, doing a jig for the hinges, then I will do. But please, I don't like, I've had one or two snidey comments, but you'll get them, and I'm always polite even when I answer them. So yeah, as I always say at the end of my video, thumbs up, like and subscribe, because it does help me. I'd like to get my numbers up for my subscribers. It's a bit slow, but that's probably the nature of my videos. I do my best, you know, and I don't think I do bad for being 70 years of age. I'm coming up 71 this year, so I don't think I do bad, especially with technology, because sometimes you can be a bit of a dinosaur. My daughter's never had any patience with me when we're on the phone. Give us it here, Dad, I'll do it for you. No, I'll learn myself, and I always have. So there you go. So as I always say till end of my video, for God's sake, be safe out there and be careful. Things aren't getting any better, and there's a lot of bad news about, but look on the bright side, it's sunny out. Time to do a bit of gardening. In fact, that's what I'll be doing right now after this video. So until next time, bye for now. Bye.